And now you see why we could never think of a single scale that would cover us for an entire chord progression, because the whole point of the process is to play the transitions. Beautiful little... Voice leading is where 99% of guitarists fail, and it seems to be on trend that everyone's starting to figure out, oh, that's what's missing. I don't know anything about voice leading. And what you'll quickly realize, especially by the end of this video, is that voice leading is rule number 1. So what you just witnessed was a microcosm of masterful voice leading. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what's going on in that example. Because if you can understand that simple voice leading that you could hear clear as day, right? You hear those common tone pivots, you hear those close movements within one grip, but harmony moving through a singular grip on the guitar. If you can understand just that in this tiny little container right here, consisting of these three primary components, we have the form, and then we have the first pathway, we have the second pathway, and we have the third pathway to fit with our form. And what we're doing in this form here is we're just dancing our fretboard configurations according to the harmonic rhythm. That's what I'm demonstrating in that video. I'm just using the intersection right there. I'm voice leading in this particular intersection. There's plenty of places I can voice lead from, but I'm just showing in this one example. And like I said, end of this video, you will completely understand voice leading. Then it's up to you to implement the practice, but conceptually you'll be done. You'll actually know exactly what to practice. So we'll start with a story. See, I used to suck at voice leading, just like you now. Couldn't voice lead worth f***, but then I started to slow down my practice. And what I would do is I would pay attention to logical voice leading connections through chord change sequences. I could only see those logical connections by slowing the practice down. Now, this immediately eliminated all of my stock licks because I didn't need to use any stock licks when I was playing slowly. So then you can imagine what inevitably happened is all the things I could play slowly started to become easy to play at faster speeds. And side note on the mentality here, this was because I was in no rush. I was really focused on the voice leading connections. I was not focused on speed or technique at all. Now, to be fair, it took me like 10 years to really focus on just that thing. And prior to that, I already been playing guitar for 15 years. But to just focus on voice leading through chord changes and not worry about speed or technique allowed me to come up with this approach that I'm showing you right here, right now in this video, where we have these 3 fretboard pathways that we're going to use according to this harmonic form. Because if somebody had shown me that 10 years ago, I would have accomplished in 6 months what actually ended up taking about 10 years. It's because I really didn't know what to focus on. And there's this whole component of the 3 primary fingerings, which you guys from Fretboard Mastery already know about. So if you haven't gotten your Intro to Fretboard Mastery, the free course, just get that right now. Pause the video, get that right now. Because from here on out, I'm just assuming everyone's got Fretboard Mastery. I can't say that I'm surprised that everyone loves it so much because it's designed to be amazing. It's designed to be the obvious missing link that you've been looking for. So get that first link in the description, because what I'm about to show you in the next part of this video presupposes range optimized pathways. So if you don't know about range optimized pathways, what I'm about to show you might be like, what? But if you can hang tight, honestly, you'll understand it even in just this video. But then you'll definitely want to go back and complete the entire Intro to Fretboard Mastery course. All right, so finally, let's get into the music. So as always, we're using the 2-bar practice form, and now you've got that in your ear. So congratulations, you already understand harmonic rhythm because you can hear this form. Now it's stuck in your head. You're being like, wait, man, holy shit, I never noticed all these like chords that have been moving past me all my life. All it takes is one, and now you understand through this form. So we're going to keep working with that for the rest of this video series, probably for another year or 2 years, however long I have to make this meme. I'll just keep making it because it never ends, and that's the deeper point, is the variations are endless on this 2-bar practice form that I'm keep grinding into forever and ever in a day. And I'll spice it up with some Coltrane changes every so often. You know, that's the spectrum. So in the context of that practice form, we've got the D flat major fingering 2 note per string. That's the pathway I'm going to use. That's going to be my parameter. So let's just look at that, right? Look at this. Beautiful 2 note per string with the string skip, fingering 2 optimization. Beautifully perfect. And now to mark the next chord change, I'm just going to move this exact same grip down 1 half step. Oh, first lesson in transposition. Watch how it compounds. Now, I like to say that the 2 note per string optimization is all about that blues mentality. And now I'm going to connect that C to F minor, fingering 3. So now we have these 3 components, and we're just playing them out of time. So we can call this level 1. Yes, of course, we're talking about the turbo booster as always. We're thinking level 1 of the turbo booster. We have these 3 range optimized pathways, and we're applying them to our little practice form here. And the first thing we need to do is just get them in our ear, under our fingers, and also in our eyes. So at first, that looks like a level 1 rubato pathway. Starts to be something like isolation time, like stuff like that, right? Wait, what am I doing? You know what I'm doing, right? I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds with this right here, right? And then connect it. So I'm just making a new parameter. I'm showing you. I'm going to get to the example in the beginning through this exact logic. Just first kind of laying out some basics, right? Some basic housekeeping, obvious. You got to get this one, right? Everyone knows from Fretboard Mastery, you got to learn this. It's blues. Once you learn it, it's blues. That's the first level basic, but we want to start to think about stuff like this. See what we're doing there? Notice how you can get deep in the weeds on this, but that's exactly actually what you need to do, right? So if you practice stuff like this 20 minutes a day and you just did 2 note per string isolation on just this little chord change sequence by doing something like you're doing the work at that point. You're doing the work, right? Watch how it compounds. Now I'm looking at transitions from grip reconfigurations. That's the key principle we're mastering right here, right? We're flipping the entire script. When we look at this chord progression, we see 3 distinct key centers. You need to forget everything you know about keys and everything you know about scales. You need to start thinking in terms of voice leading. And as guitarists, voice leading connects to this idea of fretboard reconfiguration. And we're reconfiguring the fretboard according to harmonies moving rhythmically. So we're dancing to the rhythm of the harmony. So this whole idea of intersecting pathways, voice leading, logic, like logic. Who would have thought? And in this example I've already shown you, I'm suspecting a lot of you can see the basic logic of what I'm doing, like the first principle voice leading of triads. You can hear it, you can see it. Now stylistically, I'm just playing it in a way that I can just hear it, learn it, memorize it, make pretty beautiful music, just because music is beautiful when you play triads, obviously. Especially when you voice lead them. I mean, that's rule number 1. Any set of triads voice led is gonna sound dope. So you can enjoy that part of the practice when you isolate, like, oh, I gotta get really comfortable on this first inversion grip of the pathway. And actually, perfect time for a commercial break. Commercial break. So you remember from the last video we talked about the WAP. Well, we had the first class inside the WAP. This is yesterday's class. You know what we're talking about. You know that stuff, right? You know that stuff, right? So don't worry, right? If you missed the first class, you come back, they're all archived permanently, right? We had the assignment, we had all the materials. Like, you can just watch the first class, do the assignment, come to next class. It's every single Thursday at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have the live stream in the WAP. What's great about the WAP is that every class is just archived to the platform. So we live stream once a week, Thursdays, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we're literally just going through fretboard mastery, the full course, in real time. And it's interactive, obviously, because it's a live stream. People can comment, people can ask questions. People are on the stream. I'm up, you saw it, or I'm not by myself. It's obviously going to grow just like Systems for Creation on School did, but now we've just expanded the franchise to have Systems for Creation on WAP. And it's kind of a different product, right? 1 class per week, that's it. Then the archive builds. So yeah, that thing's going to be blown up sky high as that archive compounds. And it's just the real-time fretboard mastery taking into account real-time feedback, live commentary from the students, embedding their questions being answered into the fibers of the Fretboard Mastery live course. So if you want to get on that, link in the description right there. Now, if you want to get in my inner circle, well, that is Systems for Creation on School, right? That's where you get 3 live classes a week, one-on-one lessons, the full course library. That thing is cooked. That's cooked. We got Jazz Fluency 1 through 8, full fretboard mastery, all of the compositional framework lessons. Never forget Confirmation, where it's the 17-beat cycle over 4/4. You want a personalized, intimate, direct coaching relationship. That's what I'm talking about, right? And the big leap that I've been thinking about too, and I'll bring it up right here, is the chord mastery stuff. I feel like people aren't necessarily ready to get down that road. So if you're really paying attention, comment about the chord masteries. Who's ready to understand chords? I feel like it will scare you guys into living oblivion. But I'll tell you the God honest truth. We've got the Fat Shapes course in Systems for Creation in OG school version, high ticket offer version. And that Fat Shapes course is, like, I can say pretty confidently, it's probably the best chord system on the entire internet. I would honestly definitely say that. It's the fat shape principle. It goes back to the ancients. It's classic, basic. Anyone can understand it. That's the great part. And through the fat shape principle, comprehensive harmonic mastery. Voice leading, always rule number 1, just in the paradigm of chord voicings. It's just a different thing. So I want to be clear, like, what we're talking about in this video is like melodic, single note, melodic voice leading. But we also voice lead with chord voicings, and there's a whole other can of worms that opens up with that. And that's for people who want to play on like gospel records, who want to play like jazz mastery system gigs, deep harmony, like the most specific type of harmonic mastery. You know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about. Literally that Joe Pass level, you know what I'm saying? So that's a video for another day. Anyone paying attention, just reach out directly. You got my contact by now. So yeah, send me an email if you want to master chords. Okay, back to the fretboard here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to isolate an intersection of those three pathways as it moves through the form. And that's exactly what I was doing in the beginning of this video. It's this, right? We hear this. The classic string skip on the fingering 2 note per string optimized. Learn your half step movements. Parallel movements by half steps, don't underestimate it. You're like, oh, that's super easy. Yeah, well then just do it. If it's easy, then just do it right now. Because this one's the jump right here. This is where you reconfigure the fretboard, not in a parallel way. Right here. What we're doing is we're reconfiguring the fretboard to fit the F minor that's close by the grip that we had for the C. So if the grip that we had for the C is this makes sense, right? For the F, don't you see that? So this is what we would isolate in the practice. We isolate the transitions because that's where all the gold is. And now you see why we can never think of a single scale that would cover us for an entire chord progression, because the whole point of the process is to play the transitions. So you isolate until you can make music. So a classic isolation practice, the first one you'd ever want to get, if you do what I'm about to say in this video right now, this is going to blow your freaking mind sky high. Watch how easy this is. All I'm doing is playing this particular part of the fingering 2 range optimized pathway for a C major. And then I'm just logically connecting that by moving my fingers as little as possible. The E of the C goes to the F. The G of the C goes to the A flat. The C of the C is the common note. And the E of the C goes to the F of the F. So then it's just this beautiful little... That's logic, right? That's the logic we're talking about. So now that once we've got that logic clear in our mind, now we can actually start to actually make music by just isolating that little part of the grip. So maybe something like... making music. I can make music because I've isolated my creativity to such a small little parameter that I can actualize all of it. I can think of all those different rhythms. I can start to think about like because ultimately what I'm doing is I'm playing drums on the triads. Every instrument, the guitar especially, is a percussive instrument because music is about rhythm. So what you're learning to do here is run your rhythms through your triadic pathways. As guitarists, there's no logical explanation for why you wouldn't master triads on the fretboard. So the moment that I started to master triads on the fretboard was the moment I learned about the 3 range optimized pathways. So in this example, we're using number 2. Number 2 is iconic because it's 2 note per string optimized with a string skip. Dynamite. Everyone loves that one. The classic combo is fingering 2 and fingering 3. And you'll remember fingering 3 from the Tim Miller 2-2-1-2, 2-1-2s. You remember that from Tim Miller. Crosses right in. He's right. We agree. One of the primary fingerings is the Tim Miller approach. That is one of the primary 3. So if you want to learn about all those, they're in Fretboard Mastery intro course. You already know about it, so I'm not surprising anyone with the 3 fingering situation here. And you see we're just applying the same range optimized logic on a different part of the fretboard here because that's how we compound the practice. We add key changes. We apply it to forms, right? So in the intro to Fretboard Mastery, the only form is the 1-5-1. We get in the 1-5-1, we get in the chromatic pivoting. But in this, we get to see a chromatic move. It's not a chromatic pivot technically, but we get to see a parallel chromatic move, and then we get to see a beautiful 5-1. So this compounds the lessons of Fretboard Mastery in context. And now you've seen how you can isolate a part of a pathway to actually dig deep rhythmically and just isolate your creative focus to a really small place. And what does that do? That frees you up rhythmically, right? So right here we can really like experiment rhythmically, which is definitely something we want to do. So to really make it obvious, 4 beats on the 1 chord, 4 beats on the 5 chord, right? Seriously, yours will sound different. We all have a rhythmic voice. And that's another deep, I mean, man, I know I do feel like I've hit the wormhole with this shit lately, but it's true. You'll open up your rhythmic voice, and your rhythmic voice is your unique, cosmic, soul emanating voice. Your unique voice is through that rhythm. So it seems like as musicians, our job is essentially just to master harmony so that we can play rhythm, because harmony is finite with the 12-note system, right? So that's cool though, because that gives us the opportunity to focus on the rhythm. And that just seems the way that like Earth seems to work. And probably like throughout the universe, I would think these principles apply mostly. And guess what the moving part is? The moving part is the harmony. In different parts of the universe, harmony will function differently, maybe. I'm not necessarily so sure about that. But rhythm will function the same way in every part of the universe, right? Because relativity, right? So, but then it full circles, right? There's that whole argument that harmony is also rhythm, right? The classic, like, Adam Neely, like he's, like, saying giant steps is a rhythm. Oh, my God. All right, well, that should wrap it up for you. So guess what's crazy is that this lesson that I just taught you, this was a summation of the first lesson of the WAP. So the first lesson was yesterday, right? It was Thursday. Today's Friday that I'm recording this. And that was what we did in WAP. It was just interactive. It was just the comments. We had people on the stream and we got the job done. I mean, it was sick. That's what cleared my mind to just make this video. I was realizing, man, this is like the basic reality. So if you want to stay up on that live lesson schedule, get some structure to your practice and actually see that full paradigm of musical development, definitely start with the WAP. That's a damn good price for now, and it's definitely going to go up. But if you're ready for the inner circle, I would definitely love to have you inside the school where we could work really closely together and customize something that's going to get you that master's level education in less than 6 months, guaranteed. We've got the 5-step mastery system, and you'll have my direct supervision to lead you every step of that process. So like I said, that's for people who see the whole hack of, wow, I could pay this guy a few $1,000 and get a literal master's degree in music in less than 6 months. That's what you're guaranteed to get inside the School of Systems for Creation. On the WAP, you're guaranteed to get whatever happens every week in that live stream where we're just doing the real-time fretboard mastery course yet again, but this time for an audience that's interacting with it. It's growing every week. So lots of ways to get involved. And pretty early in this channel, I mean, I've been thinking lately that my YouTube channel will inevitably get a whole lot more subscribers. So you guys are definitely the early guys. You guys are investing super early in this, which is great. Great to have you. Really appreciate all you guys have been supporting the channel, supporting Systems for Creation, becoming masters of the pathways.